Hi guys, this video is going to be kind of different today. I was originally going to make a vlog just like throughout the entire day. It's Saturday and I was just going to have like a lazy day today. Oh my god, I just saw myself on the viewfinder. And just kind of be like, yeah, this is my vlog. I woke up and now I'm at the store and now I'm in my apartment again. But when I was leaving today to go get donuts, so like I was driving to the store and I was listening to NPR, which is how I get my news. I heard this lady who was on there. She's being interviewed by someone during the New Yorker hour.
The left is cannibalistic. It eats its own. When one speaks about politics, sometimes there can be a kind of, sort of an extremist idea of purity. And it's so easy to fall afoul of the ridiculously high standards set there. In the quest for inclusiveness, the left is willing to discard a certain kind of complex truth. And I think there's a quickness to assign ill intent. And it's interesting because a lot of sort of liberal, the response is not to debate, the response is to silence. And I find that very troubling.
I generally don't like to talk about politics on this channel with you guys. It just becomes this game of like talking about gossip on Capitol Hill. Like, oh, did you hear what Trump said yesterday? No, but I'm sure it was racist. It's just a lot of unnecessary stress and anger, and so I usually don't like to deal with that. Yeah, I don't really want to talk too much about my own political views. I don't really know. So back to this woman I heard on NPR. I'm gonna say her name as Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. That's how I heard an interviewer say it, and that's just how I'm gonna say it. Yeah, so I heard her on the radio when I was out. When I got home, I decided to look her up. The radio host who was talking with her mentioned that she had a video on YouTube called "We Should All Be Feminists." Most of what she talked about were her experiences growing up in Nigeria and how she views gender in African culture and society. I'm just gonna skim through some of what she said in her speech and just kind of weigh in with my own thoughts. At the beginning of her speech, she calls herself a happy feminist in response to when a journalist told her she shouldn't call herself a feminist because, in his words,
feminists are women who are unhappy because they cannot find husbands. So I decided to call myself a happy feminist.
I feel like she wants to call herself a happy feminist because she doesn't want to be perceived as, you know, like the man-hating feminazi who got scorned by a man or maybe several men, and so that's why they turned to feminism to make themselves feel better. And for good reason. If I walked up to someone and said, I'm a feminist, and then their response was, my god, you must hate all men, right? Feminism is the cancer of America. I mean, what's the first thing you think of when you hear the word feminist?
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but there will always be something to offend a feminist.
Well, no, that's just obnoxious. Sorry,
you have shut the fuck up for a second. The assumption that women are naturally better caregivers is part of patriarchy.
Manspreading is when a man spreads his physical body to take up as much space as he wants. To be forced to manspread really showed me how up your own ass you have to be as a person.
The assumption that women we're working on it and you guys are trying to dismantle it. But if you fucking listen, this is a list of the things that we're working towards. Now, if you would shut the fuck up for the 50th billionth time, these are things that we're agreeing on. And these are things that you've actually all got skewed fucking views on. You think that feminists are trying to take...
The internet has twisted around the idea of feminism, and now we get things like Big Red and BuzzFeed feminism. A lot of people don't take it seriously anymore. So although she said she's a happy feminist, later in the video she says that she's angry.
I am angry. Gender as it functions today is a grave injustice. We should all be angry.
Yeah, I thought that was a little confusing because earlier she says she's happy, but now she says she's angry, and I guess you can be both. But she uses this as a segue to get to her point about gender in Nigerian culture and African culture in general, and how she thinks that there should be change in how we teach girls and boys.
The problem with gender is that it prescribes how we should be, rather than recognizing how we are. Now imagine how much happier we would be, how much freer to be our true individual selves if we didn't have the weight of gender expectations. What if, in raising children, we focus on ability instead of gender? What if in raising children, we focus on interest instead of gender?
I think most people can agree that your gender does not define your role in your family or in society. It's not up to the girls to cook for the boys, just like how it's not up to the boys to provide money for the girls. You should strive to take care of yourself. You know, self-nourishment. Everyone should learn how to rely on themselves if they want something. If I had a boy and a girl, I would do the same activities with both of them. I wouldn't be like, okay, girl, you're gonna learn how to cook, and boy, you go off with your dad and learn how to do man things, because I don't know how to do man things, because I am a woman. Girl and boy, you're both gonna learn how to cook, you're both gonna learn how to clean, you're both gonna learn how to do your taxes, or whatever you teach children. I'm not a parent, and they can learn together so they know how to do the same kinds of things. It's not like, okay, you're a girl, so you're gonna learn how to do girl things. You're a boy, you're gonna learn how to do boy things. No, everyone should learn the same things. Ugh, I can't even imagine the thought of having kids right now. Ugh.
Some of the men here might be thinking, okay, all of this is interesting, but I don't think like that. And that is part of the problem. That many men do not actively think about gender or notice gender is part of the problem of gender.
I kind of agree with this, but also not really, because I am a woman and I don't think about gender as much as these feminists do. Does that mean I have a male mentality? Does that make me a man? Well, I agree that some men may not think about gender as much as women do. I rarely think about gender at all, let alone how my gender affects the way my life is going. I should remember that she's talking about her experiences in Africa, not in America. African gender roles and American gender roles, I'm sure, are very different, so we can't really compare these things together. So the type of gender expectations that Chimanda is talking about in Africa doesn't always apply to what's going on in America, and I hope more people can realize that. American women are not oppressed, okay? We have it pretty good. We have it really good, actually.
Culture does not make people. People make culture.
Yeah, and I don't like it when people blame culture or society for their own problems or the problems that they think that a group of people might be having. You know, if you feel oppressed by someone, it's probably not because of a system of oppression, it's because the person who's making you feel oppressed is an asshole, and you should deal with them personally. Report them, be like, hey, this person, name their name, is being an asshole to me, and I don't know why. Is it because of racism? Let's look into it, and if you can find racism, then punish that person for being a racist, but don't blame a whole system of people who have nothing to do with that. But this is something that I've been hearing a lot on the left side of the political spectrum, compass, whatever you want to call it, that there are things like white privilege and systemic racism against black people or the wage gap against women. But you know what? There is no evidence for any of these things. I think class privilege is more of the thing. Like, you know, if you were born into like a higher class family, then yes, of course you have an advantage over lower class people because, you know, your family just did better, and so you're probably gonna do better. But I don't think it's attached to your race. There are a lot of white people in poor neighborhoods and who make less money. Where's their white privilege? So for a long time I've resented feminism because of this shit, but listening to a feminist like Chimamanda and her saying that the left in America is doing itself harm, it gives me hope that people on the right and the left are getting closer to meeting somewhere in the middle of the political spectrum. People should be able to sit down and debate with each other if they disagree on something, and to just, you know, use their words to try and find some common ground. Everyone can agree that no one wants to be oppressed. No one should be oppressed. Okay, so I think I'm done talking about that. This was a little uncomfortable because I don't like to talk about politics on this channel, like I said, but maybe I'll be more open to talking about it in the future because it is something that interests me, you know, things like this. You know, it's kind of the bulk of what I watch on YouTube anyway, so why not just like kind of put my thoughts out there on it. Okay, and that's it for me. Bye.